taste of a traditional family meal, and at the heart of every great dish is a key ingredient that brings it all together. That ingredient is sunfoil, pure sunflower cooking oil, made from only the finest sunflower seeds. It's a perfect way to enhance the taste of your family's favorite foods. Sunfoil cooking oil is more than just oil. It's the key to bring your family together over a delicious meal and making every bite taste better. Remember, the key ingredient to a great family meal is sunfoil. Tradition just tastes better.
The views and opinions expressed by the guest and presenters of Radio Al Ansar are not necessarily the views and opinions of Radio Al Ansar and the Al Ansar Foundation.
DIY or big projects? Hyper Hardware has you covered. Visit us at Shop 14 Florence Nightingale Drive, Chatsworth, or online at hyperhardware.co.za. Quality you can trust.
Africa Muslims Agency has been providing critical aid in Gaza and Lebanon with your support. The humanitarian situation is more dire than ever before, with thousands displaced and in need of basic supplies to survive. Donate any amount to bring food, water, medical assistance and essentials to the people of Gaza and Lebanon. Africa Muslims Agency, empowering, educating, inspiring.
The Breakfast Rush, brought to you courtesy of the Willowton Group, at the forefront of innovation, and one of the leading competitors in the South African FMCG market.
It's exactly 10 minutes after 7 if you're watching the clock. And as we'd mentioned to you earlier, going live on Facebook, live on YouTube with this very important conversation that's about to take place with a gentleman that is no stranger to your Breakfast Rush here on Radio Al Ansar. The topic, substance abuse turning young people into addicts and criminals. These chilling words, this warning comes from an article that has sent shockwaves across communities. It highlights an alarming and growing crisis, young people falling victim to a dangerous cocktail of over-the-counter medications, street mixtures, and organized drug syndicates. So while police and government recently gathered at a national summit under the theme Efficiency in Action to strengthen collaboration in the fight against crime, there is a disturbing trend that remains overlooked: the abuse of anxiety medication, all of which are being stockpiled and sold by organized cartels in our townships and, of course, in our suburbs. So joining us this morning to unpack the crisis is crime expert, research associate at UJ, Calvin Rafati. Good morning and welcome back to The Breakfast Rush.
Good morning, Jess, and good morning to your listeners and viewers.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning, Calvin. What motivated you to write this article, and what message do you most urgently want to send across to our public?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you've highlighted. So this initiative, we took it upon ourselves because it has been an ongoing crime that was, people are looking the other way. But at the same time, it affects our youth. So basically, we are in touch with the people in the communities, in the villages, in the townships. And besides, it hits close to home as well. So it's one subject that we thought, before the ink gets dry, between the partnership of the business and the police, because we do know that pharmaceutical companies are also involved in this particular initiative of fighting crime. So let us make this awareness and let them regulate certain medication, especially the cough mixtures and the anxiety pills.
You mentioned in the article that children are becoming addicted and criminalized. Can you share more about what you've observed during your research in communities?
Yeah, so basically what has taken place is that many of our young kids, they want to belong in some of their groups and friends, and it has become the norm. So what they've done is they become so addictive to this particular cocktail mixture to a point that even some of the syndicates, they now regulate this particular on which house, which spaza shop should sell this particular product or the cocktail itself. So, but the kids are becoming so addictive because once you take that substance, you want more and more, then that's when then the kids become so addicted to this thing.
Indeed. Calvin, what role does social media and celebrity influence play in glamorizing this dangerous drug use among young, vulnerable people?
Yeah, no, that's a good one. In fact, from our research, we did learn that this thing, it has been an ongoing scenario whereby, many of the international artists are idealized by some of our young kids. And it has started there in the overseas. But now, the kids, because of their own social media, they look up to these people as role model. So indeed, that's why some of these kids, they take this particular substance. And another name of which we picked up as a street name is called lean. Now, if one looks at what is the meaning of lean, Lean, is that one can actually fall asleep while standing up. So that's what it does to the kids. That's why most of the kids, they don't go to school. You find them in parks, or even when they're in school, they hardly can concentrate because of this cocktail.
You've mentioned, drug cartels that are stockpiling medications and controlling the distribution in townships as well as suburbs. How organized are these groups, and what makes them so difficult to dismantle?
Yeah, so basically, on some of the researches, especially in Gauteng, what we have learned is that the so-called construction mafia, as we all know them, what they do, they go to these pharmacies, they do a stockpile. So they'll buy a lot of cough mixtures from off the shelf because it is not regulated, especially in the townships and villages, whereby, there are other outlets where you can buy, and then once you come back the next day, they tell you now, you cannot buy the same cough mixture because you bought the previous day. So they keep record. But in the townships, in some of the pharmacies in the suburbs, so the criminals, they buy it in bulk, and then they take it to their supplier. They do the mixture with the cold drink and those anxiety pills. And then per bottle, maybe a 350 milliliters, they'll sell at the tune of 30 rand. So they get a 10 rand from them being the main suppliers of those particular medication. And they also fight for thefts. So that's why I'm saying they even regulate who must sell, who mustn't sell, who must sell at which area. So they even fight for thefts among themselves.
Calvin, it's, as you speak, it's just becoming more and more scary, especially when we think about this now affecting the younger members of our society. Tell us, what practical steps can parents and community leaders take to protect children from falling into this trap?
Yeah, so basically, the kids that are already affected, they need to be identified, and then we should put measures of taking them to rehab and for counseling, because the kids, they are as young as 10 years, one can say. And then as for the drug addicts, I mean, the drug cartel, the big syndicates, the police, they need to identify them and root them out of our communities. But at the same time, that's why we are saying, before the ink gets dry between the pharmaceutical company in helping the police, let them regulate this particular products, because if they are easily accessible, and then the kids, they rely on taking them. Now, here's another disturbing scenario that we picked up, that not only are they using the cough mixture, anxiety pill, and with a mixture of cold drink, but they've got what they call it a battery to coil. Now, why they call it a battery to coil is that they mix a cold drink with a methylated spirit. So they drink it as raw as it is, especially when cough mixtures are running out of supply. So it's equally so dangerous, and you can imagine what it does to the kids.
As a final question for this morning, what are some of the basic signs that parents can look out for if they suspect that their children are abusing drugs?
Yeah, so, their skin texture will change. They start to lose weight. They constantly change friends. They're complaining about, the friends that the parents who will be knowing. And then some of them, they even try to borrow as much money or work hard from the house to gain money. But as us parents, we don't know that if my child is saving 30 rand, let's say per day, if I'm able to pay that 30 rand, but at the end of the month, you don't see them buying softwares, games, and all of that. Where does the money go? Or you don't even have an account of where the money goes. So you'll find that they buy this particular product and they enjoy it with friends. But at the same time, parents, they need to constantly check, especially young kids, check on their phone. Who are they communicating with? What are they up to? Are they doing certain research on the phone, or are they, because like I said, it hits home. So some of my boys, they used to, they'll tell you that they want to become musicians and be like some of the international artists. And, I kept on asking myself, what is happening, until I saw a big change in their behavior, only to find out that they are being lured in their communities to take this particular cocktail.
Calvin, I know we mentioned that was the last question, but a listener sends through a question now, and let me know if you can comment on this. Is there an investigation into staff at public hospitals that may be working in cahoots with these cartels? Are you aware of one?
No, most definitely, there are certain rotten officials in the distribution of the pharmaceutical in some of the public hospitals. I spent 6 months in hospital because I live with disabilities, so I do know even some of the language they use. They call it imoto ichonchi mali. So it's like a car that stole the money, but in essence, those are some of the medication lingo that some of the nurses, they were using in taking out certain anxiety pills for that effect. Because of many people, they are addicted, so they make extra cash in doing that. But at the same time, even most of the pharmaceutical or pharmacies, they don't even need prescription in some of these areas, and people just pick up medication, even stockpiling them, like we say the syndicates do. So we need to regulate these things. Spaza shop cannot sell Schedule 4 medication, Schedule 5 medication. They are not authorized. So we need to constantly regulate, teach our metro police on the bylaws, especially when it comes to Spaza shop, on what type of medication they should be in possession of.
Indeed. Calvin, I want to thank you for your time this morning, and always very insightful, very informative, much appreciated. Have yourself an amazing day going ahead.
Thank you very much.
That was crime expert, research associate at UJ, former forensic investigator as well, Calvin Rafadi, talking on this scourge, which for generations, really, the scourge of drugs has been attacking young people, families, and the ripple effect of that, communities, for the longest time, really. And now it's just escalating, where he's talking about medication that you might just have in your cupboard at home. Yeah. You may just have cough mixture in your cupboard at home. So I know we're always saying to parents, eyes open, pay attention, all of that. And parents at some point in time will be turning back and saying, how much can we do? The child, through no fault of anybody's, spends so many hours per day out of our eyesight. We got to go to work. They got to go to school. We can't be in each other's eye line all the time. So what do we do? That is the burning question. What do we do? Think about how much you've got in your little medicine cupboard at home.
Look, it's very important for you as a parent, no matter how hectic your schedule might be, you've got to know what's happening in your child's life in this aspect and in all others. Another important part is, economically, everything's tough right now.
Yeah.
However, please be wary of where you purchase your medication from. It might be cheaper somewhere else. Where is it coming from? What is in it?
Exactly. Got a message from one of our brothers listening in, says, folks are most welcome to come through and visit the Refocus and Upliftment Foundation, otherwise known as RAUF, RAUF, not the cop or the lawyer. You're most welcome to visit there, attend there. If you or a family member that's close to you has a substance abuse problem, maybe pick up the phone or listen to their show on a Sunday here on Radio Al-Ansar.
The Breakfast Rush, brought to you courtesy of the Willowton Group, at the forefront of innovation, and one of the leading competitors in the South African FMCG market.
There's nothing quite like the taste of a traditional family meal, and at the heart of every great dish is